The flying coaster was a smash hit when it first debuted in the late 1950s. The ride featured ride vehicles mounted on sweep arms that ran over a ramp along their circular course. This enabled them to jump at the end of the ramp when the ride was at full speed, providing a small pop of airtime. This, combined with the ride's compact nature, made it instantly popular. The American ride model would end up declining in popularity as the years wore on. Its original manufacturer would end support for the model, and combined with the waning popularity of the ride, would see all but one example of this ride becoming defunct. The concept of a sweep arm flat ride that could jump would not be dead though. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, multiple manufacturers would attempt to revive the model with their own variations. This was especially popular in Europe, where licensed copies of the original flying coaster were already being produced, with variations from the American original. Several European manufacturers would independently invent the ride we now call the Jump or Jump and Smile. One of the most well-known examples of this ride would be made by Spanish manufacturers. Safeco and Cortez of Spain would pioneer the modern jump. These rides feature a pneumatic solenoid under each sweep arm that can operate on a pre-programmed cycle or be manually controlled by an operator. As the ride spins, the sweeps can be lifted and dropped, creating a jolt of sudden airtime with each drop. The exact history of these rides is not very well documented, but these Spanish rides generally gained popularity in the late 80s and early 90s, with production continuing through the 2010s. These Spanish rides are often called names such as Saltamontes, Spanish for grasshopper, and Crazy Frog. Many of these Spanish rides suffer from design flaws that we have covered in a separate video. In short, these rides include things such as inadequate restraints, poor weld and manufacturing quality, poor distribution of loads on the ride causing weak spots, and issues with their manual control systems. These issues unfortunately persist on many of the remaining rides today, though all known Spanish manufacturers of the ride have since ceased production. Production of the rides does not end with these manufacturers though. Other, more reputable manufacturers have taken the design and created their own versions, with probably the most well-known of these being the Italian manufacturer Sartori. They have created several versions of the ride, the most famous of these being the Techno Jump. This ride comes in 10, 12, and 14 sweep variants. All versions of the ride are similar in design to the Safeco model, but feature a much more robust design. They also offer the Techno Jump Maxi. This version of the ride features 14 sweeps that are 25% longer than the ones found on a regular model, resulting in more movement for the riders and ultimately more airtime. The ride also has other enhancements, such as a counter-rotating centerpiece and over-the-shoulder restraints. Sartori also has a few other variants of the ride that other manufacturers have also copied. This includes the Roto Techno, a version of the ride with suspended seats that can rotate, and the Techno Pop, a smaller version of the ride with outward-facing seats. Other European manufacturers such as Preston and Barbieri and Zamperla currently or have previously made their own versions of a jump ride. These non-Spanish European rides have enjoyed a very good safety record and remain the best examples of the ride recently produced. Many of these rides operate at parks and with showmen all over the world. While some of these safer European rides are still being produced and the unsafe Spanish versions of the ride have ended production, the ride type is unfortunately not likely to lose its unsafe reputation anytime soon. This is due to the ride being picked up by Eastern European and Henan Province Chinese manufacturers. Eastern European manufacturers have had a history of poorly documented fabrication practices that have resulted in their rides featuring non-compliant restraints, as well as other design defects that promote metal fatigue and failure. Henan Province Chinese rides are made illegally inside of China as cheaply as possible and then exported, mostly to the developing world. Rides from both of these regions see a very high number of accidents that simply cannot occur on rides compliant with EN or ASTM standards. These manufacturers often hide under different names so that no single one of them becomes associated with their poor quality rides, meaning that if you encounter one of these rides that's not made by a manufacturer you recognize, it's probably best to avoid it. Regarding the safety of the Spanish rides, the government in the UK has made some effort to improve the safety of these rides in the country. So Spanish models operating there have been modified and are much safer than ones operating elsewhere. There are also individual showmen that own the Spanish versions of the ride and are aware of the risks. Accordingly, many of them have made an effort to make their rides safer. This means not all of these Spanish-made rides are as unsafe as their original design. Regardless of the ride's model's safety, the concept remains extremely popular, and when executed properly, the ride is very safe and very fun. Have you had a chance to ride a jump ride? If so, what did you think of it? As always, thanks for watching this episode of Flat Ride Friday. If you'd like to watch all episodes of Flat Ride Friday Season 3 without having to wait, you can become a channel member and start enjoying them right now. If not, no pressure, the next episode will be out next week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.